So, I wasn't planning on making this video. In fact, it wasn't even supposed to exist. I originally showed no interest on making this video until I saw it and I'm like, ooh, that's a bad video. I gotta make a video on it. And in fact, I wasn't even thinking about making another video because I was originally going to be starting to work on my second video on why Arlo's Star Fox Zero review is really bad. But that's now just been delayed just so I could work on this shit show. But before we start with why this video sucks, I'm going to talk about why I fell out of Red Raptor Rights. And if you're not interested in me talking about this, skip to this time frame to get onto the main subject. My first experience with Red Raptor Rights was his Jurassic Fight Club video. That video, in my opinion, was what kickstarted my love for Red Raptor Rights, in fact. And this made me watch most of his content, involving his reviews, his accuracy content, and many more. And heck, even his videos on Jurassic World convinced me that it was bad at the time, but now I no longer think that. And I did like him up until, what was it? Oh yeah, last year. It was later on last year was where I had a more of a falling out relationship with Red Raptor Rights. I looked back at his old content and it wasn't really good. His points weren't really thought of well, and I realized the amount of holes and double standards there were in his videos, especially his Jurassic World ones. And then I kind of just stopped watching him after I realized that his videos were never good, to put mildly. Then another year happened to around this year to where I found out from a user that apparently he was a complete transphobic, and completely lost respect for him, and I was just completely destroyed. But that's essentially my relationship with Red Raptor Rights. I did like the guy at one point, and I'm not trying to slander him in any way, so I just didn't want to get that out. Just keep in mind this is coming from someone who did at one point like his content until I was disappointed to find out he was a terrible person. And also, there's also something else he makes in this video that really killed my respect. But I think we could maybe start with why this video was bad, which is what you're all waiting here for. And if you're curious, I'm only doing his reviews since I have way more knowledge on Jurassic World than his other stuff. So if you want a video series talking about why his accuracy reviews suck, then go recommend you go check out The Lizards. They made a great video on why Red Raptor Rights Red Raptor Rights' old videos weren't very good. To have a brief summary of the main issues with this video, my first main issue is the fact that at worst his points can be completely hypocritical, and you even just look and you just facepalm yourself and think, why aren't you applying this to yourself? Is it only when you do it? And it's like that for most of the video. That's like most of his points. And like it just makes even less sense, which we'll get into. But the main issue I have with this video is the fact that it even exists. Since, like, you shouldn't be making a video on something that has not even came out yet, on only a few bit of information we have on it, in the trailers that could be misleading, and which it is, by the way. And listen, sometimes their trailers are just going to be misleading and not not like as in to change their audience or misinform what the audience is, but like information on the film and mislead them into thinking it's about something or whatever. So it's just doesn't make any sense to do it, to make a video, since if you make a 30-minute video, this is going to age badly and people are going to look back on it well in the future. So, like, it's just a bad idea in the first place. So I don't even know what he's thinking by making this video. It just doesn't make any sense. But now let's get into this shit show of a video.
Welcome back to another episode of Red Raptor Writes. Now today is not the video I wanted to make. Actually, I tried making this video before, but the recording went wrong, my lighting was bad, the audio was messed up, so let's do this one last time. So, you probably saw the Rebirth trailer, and man, it wasn't good. Right? I'm just gonna start off with that, so you know what kind of review you're getting into. But I didn't want it to be this way. I actually had a lot of hope for Jurassic World Rebirth. It looked like a nice change in direction from the series. Cause if you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of the Jurassic World movies, to put it lightly. Yeah, they're not good. So I was hoping that Jurassic World Rebirth would be a good return to form, and man, I was rooting for this movie. But now that the trailer's here and I get to see what I'm in for, yeah, the hype has died down.
What? The hype has died down? No, it hasn't. The trailer has over 30 million views. So saying it's died down is a big over-exaggeration. So I don't even get why you're making that kind of argument. You should have just said, it killed my hype for the film. And you should have just said that, not everyone doesn't like the film.
Not great at all. I was excited because we had David Koepp returning, and he was the writer on the first two movies, and he also wrote the first Spider-Man movie, which is great. So you know what? I thought it was gonna be good. It looked like we were returning to the Jurassic Park aesthetic. No more of that.
So from this timestamp to this timestamp, he does not bring up any negative arguments. So I'm just going to skip this. And the one negative argument he brings up is just an opinion, so I'm just going to skip it.
But it looks like the rest of the movie surrounding what positives I had going in doesn't look great. And I say that I want it to be good because I want you to know that I'm not rooting against the Jurassic movies. Just because it has Jurassic World in the title doesn't mean that I have to hate it. Like, I did enjoy the first 3 seasons of Camp Cretaceous. I like Jurassic World Evolution 2. I want this series to have a true return to form, and we're gonna make Jurassic great again. Well, that's not gonna happen. Well, at least it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. I want these movies to be good. I want to go into the theater and have a good time, walk out, tell everyone to go see it. The Jurassic series is back. It's not gonna happen though. Not, at least it doesn't look like it. So, let's talk about what I didn't like. It had all of those dumb trailer things in it. It had all the trailer cliches that come, especially with a Legacy sequel. Like, it has some weird music going on, like it's very action-y, just like a generic action movie. But then, for a Legacy sequel, you either get the soft piano of the original theme, or an epic orchestral version to try to get people to get hyped and really tap into that nostalgia factor. We do both, so we're very unique in how generic we are, and this trailer made it look very generic. But also we have like that annoying drum banging, especially towards the end. It's like psh, 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 and like trying to build up the hype again, but it's just not working, and it's just kind of awkward and weird and more of an annoyance at this point. And then like the drums will come to like a climax, and then it'll cut to something epic, and then I don't know, one-liner or something. You know how it is.
What? You're complaining about them using old themes? Like, dude, you're using one of Jurassic Park's old themes in this video. Do I need to explain how hypocritical that is? And what do you mean it builds up? That's like basic music. Music naturally just builds up to something over time during the chorus and lyrics and for the music. So that feels completely redundant to criticize specifically that when you would have to imply it to all types of music. And are you trying to imply that using an old theme in the Jurassic Park trailer at all? When that isn't even true. They never even use an original theme in this film's trailer, because this theme's completely original to Rebirth. So now you're pulling bullshit out of your ass to prove a point?
We also got some Marvel humor in there, which is not. It's a choice. It's a choice. It's just upsetting to see. Maybe there's not a lot in the movie. There's just one bit where ScarJo's like, "Oh, she can kind of guarantee your safety," and then the guy's like, "What? What the heck is wrong with you? What?" It's it feels MCU-ish. I think, again, I don't want this to be a Jurassic World hate movie, but we're kind of falling for the same flaws here. So we're doing that more goofy, over the top, trying to make the audience laugh and win them over with laughs kind of humor. And that's kind of what JW did, where it was goofy and over the top. Like, you could think about Owen trying to shimmy away from the lava when he's paralyzed.
In defense of this character saying this, imagine going to an island where it's basically one of the most dangerous things on Earth with some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet, and with the people who are meant to protect you saying, "Oh, we might be able to keep him safe." And tell me not to react the way he does if he thought he was promised to be protected. Also, how is trying to make the audience laugh a bad thing? Why are you implying that making people laugh is a bad thing? And the only real time they tried to do these laugh out loud type of jokes in the Jurassic World films was during the scene where Claire was escaping from the volcano. But no, that made sense since beforehand she ripped out the tranquilizer, so the whole thing wasn't in there. And then when Claire waked up, he wasn't fully tranquilized, and Raider began moving away, but he was still somewhat paralyzed, and it began recovering. And Red, are you gonna bring up the guy getting eaten by a toilet in the first film? Are you not gonna bring that up, huh? You aren't? Like, do I need to explain how hypocritical this video is? And this is, again, one of the main issues. He just keeps spouting on and on about issues with the film, yet he doesn't ever apply it to the first film, or it's a different type of hypocrisy.
Stuff like that. It's just totally nonsensical. Jurassic Park was not built like the MCU. Yeah, there were some jokes here and there, and some one-liners for sure, but a lot of the humor was more to get you invested in the characters and to make the characters feel like real people, because when you put a bunch of nerdy scientists together, people make jokes. Even in maybe not while they're getting attacked, you don't need some Marvel pathos, like a velociraptor attacks someone and they're like, well, that just happened.
Ian! Sarah! Nick! Nick! Yeah, we're in here! Wait, hold on! I'm coming! I'm coming! God damn it! I'm coming! What did this? Kelly! What'd you do with Kelly? She's okay. She's in the high. Who's hurt? What do you need? We need rope. Rope? What? Anything else? Yeah, 3 double cheeseburgers with everything. No onions on mine.
I don't know, we'll turn it over.
Yeah, that's what they're doing to make the characters more likable, since humor is good for films, and often it will just lead to people liking the characters more. And I don't get why you're implying that it's excused because it's laugh out loud. But just because it's laugh out loud, that doesn't make the characters more likable. And and again, this is just like the humor. That's just how it is. I don't get it, since you're gonna have humor that you won't like. Like, you cannot like it, that's fine. Just not really a valid criticism.
Or something like that. Or just totally undercuts the moment. No, you don't need that, but people make jokes even in some mild situations here and there, to ease the tension a little bit, and maybe to get to know each other. So when they're making jokes, it's it makes sense for the characters, and it makes them feel more three-dimensional. It's not big ha-ha funny. I mean, yes, there were some ha-ha funny parts, especially with Jeff Goldblum. It seems like a natural interaction between characters rather than trying to make the audience laugh out loud and forget that they're watching a terrible movie. So right now, it just seems kind of blah, blah. Also, it seems like they really didn't learn anything from Dominion, because I guess it still made money even if so many people hated on it, because they took the plot structure of Dominion, mostly that big bloated second act, where it literally is run from this dinosaur, then run from this dinosaur, then run from this dinosaur. I know they weren't all dinosaurs. They were Synapsid, Dimetrodon, Pterosaur, Quetzalcoatlus, but you had them, the Quetzalcoatlus takes on the plane, and then they're in the jungle, Chris Pratt and the other girl, I haven't seen this movie since it came out, the pilot lady, they're chased by the Pyroraptor for like a minute, and then Claire is with the Therizinosaurus, which is admittedly a great scene, but then we go to the Dilophosaurus, and so we're going from one chase to the next chase to the next chase, and then it gets really bland, boring, and just there are no stakes because all the characters are invincible anyway, so you're just watching them just run from one situation to the next without anything really happening and no plot progression.
Yeah, it's an action movie. That's what it is at the end of the day. That's like saying a romance movie has too much romance in it when it's a romance movie. That's what it's going to be about. The genre is about romance and stuff. So I really don't get that. But no, the Quetzalcoatlus attack was not even a chase. It was an attack. The Quetzalcoatlus just showed up, blew up the plane, and then went away. That's all it did. They didn't try to run away from it and it blew it up. It just showed up and blew it up, and then now they have to get out. That's basically what happens. And you're keeping out Alan and Ellie going through the lab and talking to everyone and trying to sneak through. That's not action. Or the scenes with Rue and Maisie talking about dialogue and stuff. Or laying the locusts out on fire. Like, that, there is stuff during the third act that isn't really action-y, but, like, you just ignore it. Which is just flat out ridiculous. And plus, even some of them weren't chase scenes, like the Therizinosaurus and the Dilophosaurus scenes weren't even chases. The Dilophosaurus shows up and attacks Claire, but then Owen shows up and knocks it away. And the Therizinosaurus was more like a scene of Claire trying to hide from it. So it wasn't even a chase. The only chase scene that actually happened was the scene with the Pyroraptor. That's like the only chase scene. That's literally the only one at this point in the film, so I really don't get that.
Okay, I'm getting a little off topic here, but it seems like that's what this movie is doing too. Now, at least this movie is about dinosaurs rather than a movie about locusts with dinosaurs in them. So, okay, it makes sense to have some of these encounters.
So, the in Jurassic World Dominion, the locusts are meant to be the dangers of genetic power, and that they will do anything they want with them, and that this could lead to some dangerous stuff like the food supplies going crashing or something like, which also could work, and about how corporations seem so good on paper and seem like they're doing a noble thing, but when yet they also do horrible things. And plus, the dinosaurs indirectly created the locusts, since when they came to the island, Biosyn likely would have experimented on them and got the genetic power, and then created the locusts and unleashed hell on the world. And that's basically what happened. So, yes, the dinosaurs are focused on, it's just more indirect in the dangers of what this genetic power can do. So, it's just in a more indirect way. And the thing is, Jurassic Park was never really about the dinosaurs. Like, yeah, they were there, but thematically, you could just have AI and it would really just have the same effect and it could work since that's what Jurassic Park was based off of. It was based off of Westworld. So, and plus, the and plus Jurassic Park is more about the dangers of genetic power, not the dangers of dinosaurs.
But it's kind of like they have to find the three largest dinosaurs for some miracle drug that can cure some disease, and so you're gonna be going from one dinosaur to the next, to the next, and that doesn't work. It feels more like a video game plot, like a bad video game plot, really. On top of the three big ones, you're gonna get a bunch of other dinosaurs in there, and that just makes me think that we're gonna have a bunch of different creatures just to sell toys, or to have one short scene and then another one gets a short scene. And what that does is that it doesn't give them time to build a presence with the audience. We don't get to know them very well. We don't spend a lot of time with them. It's just a one and done. We see them when they're gone. So they're not that memorable.
In the first Jurassic Park movie, they showed the Dilophosaurus for one scene and it became a fan favorite. Or the Gallimimus only having one scene and it was iconic. You do not need 30 fucking minutes to make the dinosaur iconic. One scene is enough for the dinosaur to be iconic. And also, we still don't know if they're going to spend 30 minutes on this or on this dinosaur or not. So again, that is speculation. Also, spoilers for this time frame. I'm gonna show a leak, so if you don't want to see that, skip to this time frame, but wherever the heck it is. But just skip to it, please. Um, but but it says that in the plot synopsis, there is a horrible secret they find on the island. We don't know if it's the D-Rex or something else, but it's clear that the three dinosaurs to get the cure or whatever it is the bones of the story, because they are not going to show off the meat of the story, because like I've said again, stories in trailers can be completely misleading. So, editor's note from the crazy critic. I have a more killer point that would debunk this and make it even more ridiculous. in Jurassic Park, literally most of the dinosaurs besides the Velociraptor and the T-Rex only show up for one scene and never again. Like, no, seriously. That's most of the dinosaurs only show up for one scene and they're just thrown aside. And even the T-Rex doesn't even show up that much. And even in fact, in the original storyboards, the T-Rex was even in the final battle. In fact, Alan and the rest of the crew were originally going to kill the raptors themselves, with them throwing the raptors in, well, throwing one of the raptors into a T-Rex skeleton in the visitor center, and then the last raptor was going to get shot by Hammond with a shotgun, and then they were going to just escape, get off the island, like how they do in the original movie. Making this point even more of a bigger double standard. Like, holy shit.
In the first Jurassic Park movie, there were only a few creatures throughout the whole thing, but they were given enough time to build a rapport with the audience, so we got to know what they're like, their personality, and I don't mean like human personality, I just mean like how they're different from one another, really, what makes them unique. When it's just run from one dinosaur to the next dinosaur, you don't get that, because we don't get time to spend with them. But what will make some fans happy is that it seems like one of these chases is an adaptation of the river raft scene from the Jurassic Park novel, in which Grant, Tim, and Lex are in the raft, and the Tyrannosaurus is chasing them, and then once they go further along, they have to hide from some Dilophosaurus that are doing some display ritual thing on the shore. And I guess some of you are going to be happy about this, to see a scene from the book, which, you know, I hope you have fun with it, good for you, but it still needs to be executed well. You can't just take things that the audience will recognize, shove it into the movie, and then expect it to end up as a good, coherent part of the movie. It needs to be executed well. It needs to fit in with the rest of what's going on. It kind of reminds me of like comic book movie fan service, when a comic book movie will just add one nod to the comics, so then all the fans of that comic will be like, oh, there it is.
Of course the film is going to reference past material. Every sequel in some way will do that. Since even if it's from an old book or movie or whatever, you can't just reference old material at all and just completely ignore it because it's fan service or whatever the heck that is. But I really don't get this argument, because it feels like a cheap excuse for people to just point stuff out and be like, oh, they're showing fan service, they're forcing it down our throats, since it's too easy to point out. And so it'll give them an artificial point to see if they are right. That's essentially what it is. And if you don't bring up past things in a sequel, then it'll feel like it's based on nothing. It doesn't belong in its said source material. Since you still imagine a Harry Potter film or book or whatever, but there's no past magic that they showed off. There's no old locations, no old characters, no reference of past events. Just everything shown to us is never brought up in this book or movie. Do you see how weird that would be? It would feel completely disconnected from the rest of the IP, and it wouldn't even feel like an actual sequel. It would just feel like they're doing everything in their power to avoid it. So I never got this.
There it is. This movie's great because it has that thing that I recognize. It's just such a cheap way of getting people to enjoy a movie, rather than standing on your own 2 feet and on your own merits, you just reference something else. I could think of The Amazing Spider-Man, which is still a terrible movie. But it has, Peter makes the web shooters now, because in the good ones, he actually shoots it from his body, and then it's oh, look, it's the thing from the comics. He has web shooters. This is awesome. This is so much better. But, I mean, it really adds nothing to the movie whatsoever. He just gets the design off the Oscorp website anyway, so it's not like it shows him being smart. He just copies the design. I mean, you still have to be smart to make it, but not as smart as comic book Peter, right? So that's kind of the feeling I'm getting here. Just reference the thing people know and like, just so even if it doesn't fit in or make much of a difference, people are gonna like it because it's familiar and it's something they've asked for. Forget if it's executed well. Who cares about that? Oh, so before I continue, I did want to comment that it is kind of silly. Like, they're going after the 3 largest dinosaurs, but won't there just be sauropods, titanosaurs? I mean, they're bigger than the largest theropods and hadrosaurs by a long shot. So you just have to find 3 sauropods, and that's it. But no, it looks like they're going after like a titanosaurus, which is a dubious genus, so why would you do that? Quetzalcoatlus, which isn't a dinosaur. And if it was, it would be nowhere near the biggest. It's only like 500 pounds, has a big wingspan, but it's light as heck. And then I'm gonna assume maybe the Mosasaurus, Tyrannosaurus, or Spinosaurus, some meat-eating dinosaur, or lizard for Mosasaurus's example, which, again, they wouldn't be anywhere near as large as a sauropod. And please don't be Mosasaurus, because Mosasaurus is not a dinosaur.
That doesn't mean they have to be dinosaurs only. Like, they can still be non-dinosaurs, like Dimetrodon, for what they want. And we don't know what these dinosaurs are. For what we know, it could be a T-Rex, a Dilophosaurus, a Mosasaurus, a Spinosaurus, or any other animal.
So we would literally be getting DNA out of one big dinosaur and then a few other things. If you did that with an actual paleontologist, I think they would make reference to that at some point. Alright, so another big mistake we're making, another big Dominion mistake, because apparently we're not learning from our mistakes, we're not even making all new ones, is just that in Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, we spent 2 whole movies, 2 whole bad movies, setting up the movie that Colin Trevorrow actually wanted to make, which is the movie about dinosaurs on the mainland, in human society and civilization, interacting with the outside world. So we finally get that at the end of Fallen Kingdom. It's set up, we're there, and yeah, there are a few scenes of it in Dominion, mostly in the beginning, but then it's largely dropped to go to the Bison Valley, where it's an isolated area. So you're basically on another island, and you just drop the whole dinosaurs in the real world thing. It's just there in the background. There are Tyrannosauruses at the zoo, and the Pseudoceratops running around the country. There are Quetzalcoatlus on the One World Trade Center. Like, nobody cares. It's just kind of in the background.
We can assume that the DPG likely just tranked the Quetzalcoatluses and then sent them to the Bison Valley, since I doubt they just left them there to rot and terrorize people.
I do like the Malta stuff. It makes sense to be there in the world, but seriously, we're letting Quetzalcoatlus in Manhattan. Like, I mean, I'm a New Yorker. Last time I checked, we didn't like large flying objects in lower Manhattan. It's kind of a sore spot for us. Alright, so we're doing that again. We're just throwing it away because they're going to another island. I don't know what the island is called, but I think they said it's around Barbados. we're just forgetting that dinosaurs are in the real world. Apparently they all like died off screen because they weren't used to the environments and they can only live in the tropics. Which is silly anyways because dinosaurs inhabited all types of different biomes.
Spoilers for the movie. Skip to this time frame to avoid spoilers, since I'll be using leaks for real this time. So, in the leaks, it turns out the dinosaurs moved to the equator, and they did not die, they just migrated there. So, the trailer just misled us. Huh, maybe that's why you don't make a 30-minute video on a film that only has one trailer. Right, Red Raptor? Huh?
Tropics, which is silly anyways because dinosaurs inhabited all types of different biomes, like deserts, plains, even some colder regions, forests, you know, including tropics too. But so that's a silly thing. But again, we're just going to one small location with dinosaurs and dropping what they took 2 movies to set up. 2 bad movies to set up. So we did that for nothing. And better yet, it's another unheard of research facility. Apparently, this is like the island of misfit dinosaurs where all the bad ones were shunned or something. The ones that didn't make the cut were just left there. Which, you know, you can only play that hand so many times. There's another secret research area that nobody knows about yet, that we didn't tell you about. We did that with, well, first of all, in the first movie, we saw scientists on Isla Nublar, so we just kind of assume, again, all other things aside, that the scientists were on Nublar making dinosaurs. We see velociraptors hatching on Nublar, so we assume that's just what's happening. But then in The Lost World, and I know Michael Crichton wrote this into his book and was adapted for the movie, but then in The Lost World, it's, okay, there's another island with no fences this time, and you want to send people in, right? So there's another island where they're making the dinosaurs and then shipping them over to Nublar. And there are 4 other islands in that chain in the 5 deaths, which may be used for some various purposes. Alright, so we've gone from 1 island to 2 islands, maybe 6 islands if the other ones are being used, we don't know. And then we go to, there's more research going on in JP3 that's never really explored, but we get new dinosaurs being created for some reason, but no one ever explains why. Then in Fallen Kingdom, we have Lockwood. John Hammond has a partner who was never mentioned until now, but he's been cloning humans apparently, and this led to a big fallout, so cloning humans is introduced. And his daughter was this amazing scientist who was better than everyone else and behind everything, who just no one mentioned. And now there's another island, another research facility that no one ever bothered to discuss.
We only had 2 islands beforehand that we knew anything about. With the last time we did this was in The Lost World, and JP3 does not count since they brought up the Spinosaurus not being on entrance list, so I wouldn't even count that. Also, it's dumb to even bring that up. 2, Lockwood was already in the novel, so that's not true, and it would be Chekhov's gun to bring up Lockwood in the old films, since he is not relevant at this point in the story. There is no point to bring him up, nor Maisie's mom, on either until Dominion, since she is not relevant to the goddamn plot.
Come on, how many times are we going to do this? We could have just had dinosaurs on the mainland instead of rehashing these ideas that we keep repeating over and over again. Dang, man, dang. Oh, it's not looking good. Who's writing this? David.
What? These ideas are not similar in really any way. They're pretty different. And also, Rebirth is still meant to be a soft reboot. And they didn't. Well, I've already explained that them killing off the dinosaurs, but I think the reason why they migrated the dinosaurs was just so they could. Just so they could. Just so they could, simplify, because, like, they're still needing to go because like it still needs to be a soft reboot. It's trying to appeal to new people and people who haven't watched it in ages. So that's why it's mostly disconnected from the other films.
Kev, why have you betrayed me? Alright, you deserve to get eaten by that Tyrannosaurus, by the buck.
Okay, what the fuck? Red Raptor writes, "You're now wishing death upon a real person? What the fuck is wrong with you? You did a self-harm joke before, but never wishing death. And also, I don't need to explain why wishing death or joking about someone dying is not okay. Like, because it's just going to age like shit when that person does die, and then it'll just make it feel super uncomfortable in the future, so now it's inevitably going to age like shit. Great job, you moron! What the fuck were you thinking? And aren't you supposed to have a child? I'm kind of worried for that child if you're gonna teach him this sense of humor. Like, good God, I hope, good God, I hope that kid the best. Like, Jesus.
So yeah, it's an island of misfit dinosaurs, which apparently instead of just killing them, euthanizing them, they just dumped them on this island for some reason. Which means they're making them on Sorna in the Pacific Ocean, flying over Central America to drop them in the Caribbean, and then abandon them there. And they abandoned pterosaurs there, where they can just roam free, and a mosasaurus there, where it can just swim away somewhere else. What? Alright, you're doing.
That's fucking stupid, Ben.
They didn't dump the dinosaurs and just leave them there. They clearly had buildings, since we can see construction and research facilities. So we can easily assume that they built enclosures on the islands to stop them from attacking the researchers or whatever the heck they were researching. And we see them build a bird cage in JP3. So is it serious? And we see them. So is it seriously now the question that they just built an enclosure for them? And same with the Mosasaurus. They likely just built a lagoon. Boom.
Some crazy ecological damage there. That didn't seem like John Hammond's MO in the first movie, but apparently that's just who he is as a guy. John Hammond is wild, he's crazy. Alright, but even worse, so there's a main antagonist, another evil monster dinosaur, because we're repeating the mistakes of the other movies. I thought they dropped this after Fallen Kingdom, but no, we have another evil monster. This one's a mutant. It's not a hybrid. It's a mutant T-Rex that went horribly wrong, called the D-Rex. So yeah, this one's getting the D, probably at a Diddy party. They lathered it up in the baby oil and then shoved it onto this island after Diddy got caught. It's the Diddy Rex.
Wow, that is so funny. That totally made me laugh, Red. Diddy Rex? So funny, I could die. Ha ha ha. Also, no, they said that there are no hybrids. They never said anything about evil dinosaurs. Do your research, Red. And this is also hypocritical since he talks about the dinosaurs shows not doing their research and constantly complains about shows like Fight Club and about that. Yet he can't even do research here. Hypocrite.
That's what it is. It looks like a weird amalgamation between Godzilla and a gorilla. I guess Godzilla and Kong were very small, and they're just kind of shoved into one. Head of Godzilla, body of Kong. I don't know why. A mutant T-Rex looks like just an alien thing. Like if a T-Rex is mutated.
Yeah, that's the point. It's meant to look like an alien to make it feel like it looks out of place, since when you immediately look at it, you think, oh, that looks out of place in a good way, and given the vibe that's not natural. So it does its design well. And it kind of sucks that a ton of people miss the point of this design. Since, yeah, it's not supposed to look like a normal dinosaur, it's supposed to look like it doesn't belong. And that's clearly the intention.
And has a bad mutation, you would expect it to like get cancer or some organ failure or deformities, not just turn into a just generic movie monster.
Same franchise where they use amber to bring that back dinosaurs even though the DNA in their blood would be long gone. Like, dude, it's a science fiction. These movies don't have to be pitch perfect to reality. And is it seriously not out of the question that when making dinosaurs, something can go wrong? Like, imagine the trial and error. That's something that they never explored in any of the films, so it would be really interesting to see this. And it would be something interesting to explore. And didn't you say you wanted them to explore new things? Isn't that what you wanted? If not, then what do you want?
Not just turn into a just generic movie monster. But yeah, I guess that's what we're going with. So now we have the T-Rex, we got the I-Rex, there's the V-Rex from King Kong, and now there's the D-Rex. So eventually we will run out of letters and we can stop milking this franchise for bad sequels. Unless they decide to go with the Greek alphabet, where they can do the Alpha Rex, the weak Beta, the Sigma. Oh man, I want to see that epic Sigma Chad Rex. Maybe you could do a Giganotosaurus hybrid, so then it's the Giga Chad Rex. I'd buy that. I'd watch that movie. And he's that sharp jawline. Alright. But overall, this thing, I'm not excited for this. It just looks like a generic, lame Hollywood alien creature. It doesn't even look like a mutant T-Rex. It's just stupid. They just want to throw a monster in there because why the Shrek not? Which means that there's another animal to run from.
This is speculation. We don't know why they made the D-Rex out of universe. We don't know that, but let's not assume the worst. And so they probably just thought of it as an idea, but we don't know.
Which means that it's going to be more time spent on that and less time on all the other ones that we're already shoving in here. So we're already fighting for screen time. I'm sure things aren't really going to stand out as much. Alright. They just kept this thing around for 30 years for some reason. Oh gosh, okay. We're just repeating the same mistakes. I never bought this idea that normal dinosaurs weren't cool enough. It didn't make sense in universe, and then the meta narrative of that didn't make sense.
We don't know why we got the Indominus Rex as the main antagonist in the film, so that's just purely speculation. And the people in universe did like the dinosaurs. But what's that you say? But Claire says that the people are getting bored of the dinosaurs.
But consumers want them bigger, louder, more teeth.
And you would be right, viewer, unless it was contradicted. In the film, we see that people enjoy the dinosaurs. People are having a fun time. We never see anyone bored with them. The only character that we do see is bored with the dinosaurs is Zach, and he's only interested by the mosasaurus, so that doesn't count. And Claire states that the guests have a 90% happiness rating, which is good. So why in universe is that? Why they made the Indominus Rex for money. They used it as an excuse so they didn't say for more money. And you seriously can't expand the franchise with new ideas? Isn't that what you want, you big hypocrite? You constantly complain about this franchise rehashing old elements, yet when you bring in something new, you complain about it and completely whine about it. So I have a question for you, Red Raptor. If you want the Jurassic Park to be good again, how come you always complain about stuff that makes you a complete hypocrite and makes you out to one? If you cared about this franchise, then your standards would be consistent. But they aren't. And that just shows that you never cared about this franchise. All you care about is jumping into this franchise with a negative mindset and glazing up the first two films without seeing what makes the other films tick. And you ironically can't see the deeper themes, even in The Lost World, a film you say you understand. And like you say you see for the parenting and child messages, yet you don't see The Lost World's political messages like environmentalism.
Really get into this topic. I kept holding back all this time. If it wasn't clear, one of the things that bugs me about this review is critics constantly blaming all our heroes for everything bad that happened on the island, when in actuality, it was just Nick Van Owen. All what Malcolm wanted to do was bring Sarah out of the island and that's it. He didn't care for Hammond's quest of documenting the wildlife. Eddie Carr was just there as a technician, and Kelly was a stowaway. But Nick Van Owen was the one Hammond specifically asked to sabotage Angel's efforts in capturing the animals.
I think I should tell you guys. Hammond told me these people might show up. I thought we'd be finished by the time they got started, but in case they weren't, he did send a backup plan.
What backup plan?
Me?
In the beginning of the movie, we hear him say that he used to be in Greenpeace. Greenpeace, as we all know, is an environmental activist group.
Do some volunteer work with Greenpeace once in a while.
Greenpeace? What drew you there?
Women.
But later on, Timbo recognizes him as part of Earth First.
I know you. You're that Earth First bastard, haven't you? Earth First? What's that? Provisional saboteur.
Firemen!
Criminals!
Earth First is a real-life extreme radical environmental group, and they're considered a sellout by mainstream environmental advocates. They are known for their violent and destructive approaches to protect the environment, which involves sabotage and destruction of private properties, and in some cases, direct assaults. In short, they're the kind ready to murder people in the name of the environment. Eco-terrorists. And as we see in the movie, Owen's behavior did reflect that.
We came here to watch. You came to strip mine the place. It's a looter mentality. All you care about is what you can take. You have no right.
My point is the predators don't hunt when they're not hungry.
No, only humans do.
Oh, you're breaking our heart.
The animal exists on the planet for the first time in tens of millions of years, and the only way you can express yourself is to kill it.
Ignoring his rescue of Junior because he
You only look at stupid shit and not the themes. Like when you ignored the themes of Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom and said there was nothing in them.
We already had 5 going on 6 Sharknadoes for free, and Universal expects us to pay for a Sharknado ripoff? Come on. Overall, the main problem of the last 3 movies is their over-reliance on dinosaurs. Heck, there are even dinosaur characters now. Colin Trevorrow, Bayona, and Universal in general don't understand that chucking dinosaurs at the screen doesn't make for a good movie, and certainly aren't what made the first 2 so good. They had great characters, memorable set pieces, and most importantly, used Jurassic Park as a symbol to explore the theme of control, as opposed to Fallen Kingdom's approach of being an epic dinosaur movie first, and providing a competent narrative last.
You ignored what the Indominus Rex said thematically, and you just bitched about it being an evil dinosaur, ignoring the themes it carried. The Indominus Rex was put into a little cage, making it go insane due to having no one. All it knew was its cage, and essentially was basically abused. Because it didn't have any space for its enclosure, and it had no one, and there's clear evidence that it was a social creature and not a solitary creature. And there is depth to these movies, but you don't look at that depth. And I thought you said you were said that about the ignorant before in one of your videos.
Stories on screen. So this story is that a rich couple convinces Alan to follow them on a tour of Isla Sorna. Apparently, they got special permission to go over the island, and Alan desperately needs extra funding for his paleontological work on Deinonychus, I mean Velociraptor. Dr. Grant thinks they're just gonna fly over the island for him to point out and explain the various dinosaurs, but they land because, whoops, these aren't actually a rich couple, they're actually con artists looking for their son Eric who got lost on the island. Eventually, the group finds Eric, they get off Isla Sorna, and yada yada, who cares? In the previous JP movies, the story and characters provided heavy themes, morals, interesting development, and ideological conflicts. In JP3, you can tell zero effort was put into the story, plot, or characters. They all just serve as a way to get dinosaurs to chase people. That's it. Jurassic Park has been so dumbed down to just dinosaurs eating people. Some ill-informed individuals may have thought that about the original and The Lost World, but there was way more to those movies than just that. The first one was about mankind trying to control forces it can't fully comprehend, man's illusion of having control, the power of nature, and the issue of scientific development without moral questioning. Its sequel, The Lost World, deals with themes of parenting, family, and preservation. As for number 3, nothing. Just run from the Spinosaurus. Jurassic World 2 was just, scary dinosaur, but let's not open that can of worms. So the ignorant
You only look at stupid, hypocritical points just so you can hate on this franchise. And instead, you ignore that. Red Raptor writes, if you truly understood this franchise, you wouldn't have complained about these hypocritical points. And it's ironic how you say you understand this franchise, yet you know jack shit nothing about it. So from here out, it's just him kind of bitching about the Spinosaurus. And honestly, it's just opinionated, so I'm just gonna move on. And let's just talk about the video's quality. And this will just be my last debunk point, but he talks about the Spinosaurus being a cop-out, and that they wanted people to get mad and then do a design change so they fix it. So essentially, we're going down the conspiracy theorist route. So let's touch this. No, it's wrong as crap. It doesn't even make any sense, since he compares it to Sonic and that. The issue with the Sonic comparison is that Sonic already had toys made for him before the design change. And since the internet's a really crazy thing, having an actual meme go viral is like a 1 in a million chance. You can't predict that, and so it's a really shaky business strategy. And if people realize it's forced, then they'll realize, oh, this is forced, and no one will care about it. So, like, it's just a boring cop out to basically criticize it for something again more speculative. And plus, the Spinosaurus already had a Lego toy for it that was already planned to be coming out, and I doubt you would want to tell your investors, oh, hey, here's the design that you need a toy, but actually it's this. Since, again, it would be weird from a marketing when the film actually comes out. So, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense, and since it would also cost a lot of money, and it just wouldn't be worth it. It would not be worth it. So, just so they can make a design change. But, I'm finally done with this video. Oh, thank the Lord.